Hello, my fellow YouTubers and subscribers, and welcome to this latest ranking. Yes, the time has come. We are in a new year, 2022. I can't believe it. We're actually here. We made it, guys. We made it. Although we've still got this fucking pandemic to deal with, but nearly 2 years of our lives this has been going on. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about the pandemic. No, I'm not here to talk about anything negative, actually. I'm here to talk about my top 5 favourite movies of 2021. And I will obviously be doing a top 5 worst list as well. I did do this last year when 2020 ended, but I did it all together, and it was quite a long video. So, and I've still got another movie to see, which may or may not go on the other list. So, I've decided to do them separately. I think also from basis of time, it's probably easier for me. Just to be clear, this ranking is my own personal opinion. I understand that not everyone is going to agree with me, and that is fine. But if you do disagree, please just be polite about it. I'm not going to have any, ranting in the comment section below. Let's be civil. We can agree to disagree. You have been warned. So again, just my opinion. And these 5 movies I have reviewed on my channel, so they will be available to hear more in-depth thoughts. But today I'm just going to give you a digest rundown of my opinion of these movies. Okay, so let's begin the list, shall we? So, number 5 is A Quiet Place Part 2. Shh. A Quiet Place Part 2. This is a great sequel to the first one. It's not as good as the first one. I still had a couple of mild reservations with it, but honestly, really, it was spectacular. It threw me in right from the beginning. That opening sequence really did immerse me in, and it basically did everything I loved about the first one. And it continued it. I really was impressed with this movie. And again, I look forward to seeing the third one and where John Krasinski will take it. My only sort of major reservation, as I said in the review, was that I think there was too much dialogue. I think if they kept the dialogue to a minimum, which they did in the first one, it may have even got a 10 out of 10. I mean, I gave it a very strong 9, but yeah, that would have been one of my only reservations. And it's nice that we actually got to find out more about the creatures, like the fact that they kind of fell to Earth, that they're actually aliens, which is kind of interesting. And I just love the drama of it. I mean, it is a horror movie, there's no question about it, but I am all for emotional dramas, and I love movies that, focus more on the characters and the emotions behind it. And it's a really great film because it's also the daughter's story. I forget the daughter's name. I think her name's Regan. I'm not entirely sure, but Millicent Simmons, who plays her, is absolutely phenomenal in this, and I think she's just great. She's great, and I wonder what direction the third one will take. I think this one really did focus on the kids and their sort of progression and their sort of coming of age, and as well, they don't have their dad anymore. As he obviously we know what happened in the first movie, and Emily Blunt actually does take a bit of a back seat in this one. She's still involved in it quite a lot, but she's dealing with caring for her baby. But I really liked Cillian Murphy as well as Emmett, the friend who's lost everything, and I liked his journey. He's quite an interesting character as well. Not going to say too much more than that. Go and watch my review if you want further details, but I loved this movie. I thought it was excellent, and one of the rare sequels that really does live up to the original. It's not quite as good, but it's very, very strong. So I definitely recommend it to those of you who would like to see it. Number 4 on my list is Last Night in Soho. Yes, Last Night in Soho. This movie blew me away. I did not expect it to be as good as it was. I really enjoyed it, and I'm actually going to buy it. I've actually pre-ordered my copy of the movie, so I hope to really enjoy that when it arrives. This was a really good film. Again, I'm not someone who's huge on horror, but I do like horror, and I like what they did with this film, and Edgar Wright's flair for filmmaking really shows here. The lighting and the cinematography, wow, it looks amazing. This is one of the best looking movies in recent years. It's just so good, and the storytelling, I loved it. I thought it was an excellent story. Some people complained that the third act was disappointing. I actually didn't think it was that disappointing, and And I liked the fact that the two characters were connected, Ellie and Sandy. I'm not going to say to what end, because I don't want to spoil the movie, for those of you who haven't seen it. The performances were really good. The only reason why I couldn't really give it a perfect score was because of Tamazin McKenzie. I personally didn't think she was all that. I mean, she was okay in the movie, but I personally felt she could have been slightly better. But she did get a little bit better as the film went on. But to begin with, I was unsure about her casting. But shout-outs to Diana Rigg and her character. Matt Smith was excellent in his role. And Anya Taylor-Joy, who was probably the best performance of the film, actually. She was really good. It's so much fun to watch. And it also added a really interesting side to London. You know, it kind of showed the two different time periods of London, as obviously being the 60s and then being the present day. But it also showed kind of the lovely side of it, and then also the sleazy side of it. It's a really interesting perspective on the place, and obviously I'm English, so I know London a little bit. And yeah, there are definitely rough parts to it. Don't get me wrong, to the real London, but. Yeah, I'm not going to ramble on too much more, but I thought the horror elements were done really well, and I thought the dramatic moments were done really well, and I actually liked the relationship that Ellie had with her boyfriend. I thought that was really nice, and he was actually quite a nice guy and very sympathetic and understanding, and it moved at a good pace. I didn't want it to end. You know, it's not the sort of film I expected Edgar Wright to make, but then again, I've not seen all of his films, so I'll need to go and watch other films that he's made. It certainly has got me hyped to see his other films, so it's a winner. And I think it's just an excellent piece of film. It really is. And again, I love all of the production design on the movie, like with the 60s. It looks so good. And it has this really, you know, interesting vibe. And again, there's a darkness about the story, but there's also a kind of quirkiness as well. It's a kind of a strange film in that regard, but I think that it works on its strangeness. And I think, honestly, it's definitely worth your time. So give Last Night in Soho a go and see what you think. Number 3 on this list, West Side Story. I was blown away by this movie. This movie is pure magic. It was absolutely incredible. I love this film. I am a fan of musicals, and I am a fan of the musical, West Side Story. Wow, Steven Spielberg created a beautiful film. Again, I haven't seen all the films that have come out this year, so I have to go from the ones I've seen. But as for West Side Story, wow, the performances are amazing, the music is phenomenal, the pace of it is really good. Considering it's 2.5 hours long, it moves at a really good pace. I even had tears at the end of this film. It was that good, it was powerful. I was speechless when I left the cinema, and I've never been like that. Very rarely have I left a cinema feeling speechless, and that is how I felt about this movie. It is beautiful. Definitely one of Spielberg's best movies in recent years. I don't know if it's his best movie of all time. I mean, certainly there's arguments to be made about other films such as Schindler's List or Jurassic Park, but you know, I think Spielberg really loves the musical, and you can see that. I mean, he even dedicated it to his dad in the credits, which was lovely. And I would happily go and see it again if I could find a screening. I don't know if it's still out at the moment because of Spider-Man. But you know, it is a wonderful film. And I think that, you know, it moves so well. And it actually does, you know, have respect to the musical and to the other film as well. I've not seen the 60s movie, but this movie is amazing. And seriously, if you love musicals, watch it. If you love West Side Story, definitely watch it. If you love Steven Spielberg, watch it, you know, because he definitely puts a lot of his good talents to use. And on a technical level, it's amazing as well. The lighting, cinematography is wow. I mean, I do think that Last Night in Soho probably is the better looking film, only slightly. But, you know, Steven Spielberg still created a visually stunning piece of film. So I can't fault this movie at all. It is perfect, and I would definitely recommend it. So yeah, check it out. It's definitely one of the biggest surprises of 2021. Number 2 is, of course, Spider-Man No Way Home. Yes, No Way Home. Wow, what a way to end the year. No Way Home, well, it definitely brought it home. That's what I want to say. You know, Spider-Man No Way Home is a film that people have wanted for years. Certainly the stuff in the movie. I'm not going to reveal the spoilers because I don't know who has seen it or who hasn't. But let's just say the the filmmakers and the producers listened to the fans of Spider-Man who have been telling them, they've been saying for how many years what they wanted to see in the movie. And let's just say this movie delivers on not only that, but also being a very emotionally satisfying ending to Tom Holland's trilogy. I've made no secret of the fact that I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and I think he's actually gotten a lot better up to this point. And I think his first two movies are fine. I think Homecoming is decent. It is probably a little disappointing after all the hype about it, but I still think it's good enough. I watched it again recently before Christmas, so I could get back into the swing of things, no pun intended, before No Way Home was released. And Far From Home was better, not perfect, but it was pretty good, but it was kind of more of the same. But No Way Home is absolutely incredible, and it's definitely Tom's best performance as Spider-Man. He's really good, and this movie is just epic. It's just epic. All the villains that come back are amazing. I think the emotional side of the film is brilliant. The fact that it packed an emotional punch was brilliant, because that's what was lacking really with the first two films. More with Homecoming. Far From Home, there was a bit of like a romantic relationship developing with Peter and MJ, which continues in this film, but I think it's done better. I think No Way Home definitely spends just the right amount of time developing the characters that it should. And I think the ending of this movie is heart-wrenching. The emotional power of that ending is superb, which is why instantly it got on this list for that. I thought, you know what? They have listened to the criticisms. They have done their best to improve on the first two, and they have done their best to, deliver all the fan service that the Spider-Man fans and the MCU fans would have wanted. I'm not going to say much more than that, because otherwise I'll spoil it, but let's just say, if you haven't seen it yet, you need to. It's an experience. It really is an experience. Definitely one of the best MCU movies. Expect to see this quite high on the MCU movies ranking and the Spider-Man movies ranking. It's amazing. And, thank you, Marvel and Sony, for giving us this movie. And of course, number one, you knew this was going to be number one. Number one is the 25th James Bond movie, which is Daniel Craig's fifth and final movie as 007, No Time to Die. Yes, we waited years for this movie. We waited a long time to get this one, and in my opinion, it was absolutely worth it. I know that No Time to Die has received mixed reception, and that's fine, to each their own. If you don't like this movie, I respect your opinion, I totally understand. This movie makes some bold choices in terms of the character of James Bond, and in terms of the ending of the movie, which, need I say more? But I personally thought this film was a beautiful way to end Daniel Craig's tenure, and for me, this is the best exit from that any actor who's played the role has got. This is as good as it was going to be. I'm not going to say that it's my favourite James Bond film. Of course it isn't. I still think there are just a handful that are a little bit better, but I think it's one of the best, and I think it was worth the wait. You can tell that the filmmakers had a hard time making this one, but the script definitely, it had a lot of tender loving care put into it, and on an emotional level, wow, it was heartbreaking. I mean, I even shed a few tears. I'm not even gonna be ashamed to admit. And the emotional relationships that Bond has with his characters, with his other counterparts, are so good. It really is so good, and all the stuff regarding Madeline, is amazing. I mean, okay, Lucifer Safin, the villain, yes, he didn't have a lot of screen time, but I thought that the impact he had on the movie was still pretty good, and I thought Rami Malek was good. I think he's a little underrated, in all honesty. I don't think he's that bad. It's nice to see Jeffrey Wright return as Felix. Paloma is amazing. I love Ana de Armas as Paloma. Lashana Lynch as Nomi was good. I mean, she was there to be an ally, and she did her job fine. It wasn't her movie, so at least Craig was still very much in the spotlight. And Daniel Craig gives such an amazing final performance. And the humour of the movie is great too. I mean, you can tell Phoebe Waller-Bridge really enjoyed getting her hands stuck in the script, which was fantastic. I also liked the Billie Eilish song as well, with the titles. That was amazing. All the action is great. And for me, what's been amazing about the Daniel Craig era, and in particular No Time to Die, is the fact that it's a movie about loss. It is that it's more about Bond humanized and his personal relationships he has with the characters around him. It's gone from being someone who wants to destroy the world or release a virus onto the world, but there's a cost to it now. I like the fact that there's a lot more stakes in the story, especially as this is Craig's last movie, and you really do feel that there are stakes, and certainly there are moments when, you know, you do shed a tear, as I've said. And again, if this movie is not to your liking, that's perfectly fine. You know, that not everyone is gonna like it, that's fine. I was initially worried about the ending, but then I saw the ending, and I was moved. I was incredibly moved, and I was blown away, and I thought, wow, this is absolutely brilliant. This is such a tragic but touching way to go. And I didn't believe it could be done, but the producers proved me wrong, and I'll be forever grateful for that. And they took a risk, you know, they took a risk with that ending. Again, not going to say what it is in case you haven't seen the film, but yeah, it's a very special movie, and yeah, No Time to Die easily is the best movie of the year for me. It was the movie I waited for so long, and I was looking forward to it for so long, and I'm so happy that it delivered, for me, an excellent ending for Daniel Craig. Is it Craig's best movie? No, it isn't. I still prefer Skyfall and Casino Royale, but I put No Time to Die in the middle, and I've seen this movie quite a number of times now. I never get tired of it. It's a beautiful film. It really is, and it's very entertaining, and it moves at a very good pace for me for a near 3-hour runtime. And yeah, I couldn't recommend it any more than I do. So, that is it, folks. That is my ranking of my top 5 favourite movies of the year. Just to recap, number 5, A Quiet Place 2. Number 4, Last Night in Soho. Number 3, West Side Story. Number 2, Spider-Man No Way Home. And number 1, No Time to Die. So, that brings me to the end of this video. What do you think of this list? Please comment down below, let me know. And please leave me your lists. I would love to know what your top 5 or top 10 or top whatever best favourite movies, best or favourite movies, sorry, of the year are. And please leave me your lists down below. I would love to know what your choices are for your top 5 or top 10 or top however many favourite movies of 2021 would be. And stay tuned when I do the top 5 worst movies of 2021. That is going to be coming very soon. But thank you all for watching and listening. So until then, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. Thank you for watching. See ya.